Alright, next is probably the second movie I saw. Well, chronologically, 4 in July. So, what I saw was Finding Dory, like I said. In my Secret Life of Pets review, I saw another movie with Albert Brooks. Now, Finding Dory is a weird thing because I loved Finding Nemo, and when I heard of making a sequel about 8 years ago, I wasn't sure what the sequel would be about. Like, well, I already found Nemo. I mean, is he getting lost again? What the fuck? But when I heard it was called Finding Dory, I'm like, well, at least they didn't call it Finding Nemo 2. But I'm like, Finding Dory? I mean, does she get lost? I mean, like, just, I wasn't really sure what it's about. And I really didn't know until I heard reviews about it. And I always find it weird. It's called Finding Dory, but it's really not about finding Dory herself, but her finding her parents, which is kind of a weird thing because I don't really remember Dory talking about her family in the first movie. But in the first movie, she's been known as short-term memory loss. So it was more of a running gag in the movie, but in the first movie, in this movie, it's more of an important thing. In this movie, we are introduced to the fact that Dory is a little baby, which is probably the cutest thing ever. And when we're introduced to her, we see that she did have a family and parents, but who were trying to help her with her short-term memory loss. And you kind of see how her parents were very supportive of her in the beginning of the movie, and how she lost them. And then from there, you see Dory over the years growing up trying to find them, but she can't remember where they are because of her short-term memory loss. So in this movie, it's a very serious thing. While they still make jokes about it like they did in the first movie, but this time they treat it with a more serious tone and kind of make it why Dory has been lost all these years. Now, in the beginning of the movie, we see that Dory was looking for her parents when she ran into, Marlin. And when they met Marlin, now Dory is living with him next to where they live. And it's a pretty funny scene because she has short-term memory loss. She forgets, like, she gets shocked by their home. So she'd be like, Marlin, Marlin, and I go back to sleep. Okay, Marlin, Marlin. Like, she remembers something, but she can't remember what it is. So basically, once in the movie, they all go, well, Nemo's going to school, and Dory kind of makes herself the teacher's assistant. Really makes herself, and she literally just repeats what he's, scene what he's saying. And while on the trip, they go to a place where they see the sea turtles pass, and the scene right says something that makes her remember her parents telling her not to go somewhere where she gets sucked in through. But when he shares that, she's all like, "Oh my God, I have my parents. I remember my parents. I remember my parents." And it's been a while she's actually remembered something, so maybe she remembers it wrong or not, but she really has to know. And then when she hears Nemo talking about the aquarium in California, she's just like, "Oh my God, I know where my parents are." So she kind of wants to go find them. And Marlin, being very concerned about Dory and wanting to protect her, kind of like how he was overprotective with Nemo, they all agree to help her find her parents. And which kind of, yes, leads them. This movie takes less place in the ocean and more in the California aquarium. The first 20 minutes probably in the ocean. And the first 20 minutes, you kind of feel like, well, this is kind of rehashing the first movie, which it is in a different way, but you make Dory the main character and actually give her more of a character. Like Dory in the first movie was a fun character, and here you actually get to see more shades of her. There's more of a vulnerable person inside because of her short-term memory loss. She can't remember things. She's was bullied kind of in the beginning, but now people are starting, to like her. I mean, Marlin, finds, I think a little arc in the movie, she finds more respect for Dory because like in the movie, it's like you always like get us into trouble. Like, why don't you just stay there and do nothing and forget things? That's the best you do, because she got Nemo hurt and Marlin kind of, got mad at Dory. So once she gets mad at Dory when they're trying to find her parents, she kind of remembers the place where she got lost, which is what they found. So she knows she's close. So she gets picked up by a boat and is taken to the quarantine area, and where she is stamped, and Nemo and Marlin have to go and find her. And when she's there, she meets an octopi or an centipede, whatever, because he has 7 legs because he lost it to a child. As played by Ed O'Neill, an octopus. And Dory he's very, I wouldn't say he doesn't like Dory, but he's kind of annoyed by her, her short-term memory loss. And basically, here's a little fun thing. Dory forgets everything. he remembers everything, so he's kind of more miserable because he says he wants the stamp Dory is given, or a little wristband, because he wants to go back. He doesn't want to go back to the ocean because he remembers everything that about the ocean. So he wants to go to an aquarium in Cleveland, Ohio, or I think that's what it is. And so in order to, so she wants to find her parents, so he helps her. But you could tell they're gonna grow as persons in the movie. They have a nice little arc where Ed O'Neill kind of starts to see Dory as much more than just a dumb, like a klutz, or someone who just forgets. Because you kind of see like how he's been affected, and he doesn't really have friends, and Dory really does become his friend throughout the movie. So you kind of see that relationship go. I kind of see wanting more. I want to see more of that. And the whole thing with Marlon and Nemo is kind of the same thing they went through the first movie. Just they added the fact that Marlon has to trust Dory more, and then they start doing what would Dory do, because Marlon overthinks and Dory just kind of does what she thinks is right, and it helps. And throughout they get new characters like Oh Well, and if you remember like the joke in the first movie where she speaks well, this is how it happened. Literally, she would speak through the pipeline in the aquarium to a well called Destiny, and Destiny was talked back, and they help them throughout the movie to get through the aquarium. And yeah, they this movie, while not as good as the first one, is a better Pixar sequel than the most recent one, because this one feels like there's more reason to be made. Like, this is a story that the writers and director wanted to tell about Dory trying to find her past and parents, and how this whole short-term memory loss has really affected her. And the relationships in this movie are very well done. I mean, Marlon and Nemo's already been established, so it's kind of like more of a rehash when you're there. But the whole thing with Dory and the memory loss and her parents trying to find them, and then how Dory's trying to, thinking to herself, well, I messed everything up. I mean, I'm just I lost him. The scene where she feel like I lost him. I got lost from the aquarium. It's all my fault. You kind of see how Dory really regrets losing her family. And then she also figures out, well, I have a new family. Also, Marlon and me are also her new family. And while she's trying to find her old family, so she does have family, but she's trying to find the one that she lost years ago. And like I said, the old octopus has a nice arc too. Like, there's this line which says like, "This is gonna be crazy," and Dory's like, "I'm okay with crazy." And then when Ed O'Neill's character gets more like Dory, she's like, "I have an idea, but it's crazy." And then Ed O'Neill says, "It's okay with crazy." And the scene I'm referring to, like later in the movie, you can kind of tell the studio has more confidence behind the movie, because this movie has a lot more set pieces than the first movie. Like, the whole climax is a lot more higher stakes, a lot more action going on, and it's crazy. And this movie probably has one of my favorite uses of "What a Wonderful World" in recent times. And yeah, so all this stuff, granted, with like, I mean, there's still tear-jerking movies. I don't think I flat out cried, and but I felt tear-jerking moments throughout the whole thing. I'm like, this is sad, but I don't think I flat out cried or anything like that. I mean, I'd cry in a movie, but it takes me, I don't know. I cried in Bubba Hotep, so it doesn't really take much to make me cry. But this movie, very touching, this is a good family movie where you get to see, like, these problems are very real. Like, these characters feel very real, but it's still cute enough and fun enough for a kid to enjoy it while still listening to a good story. This is what I think Pixar does best. Even though the story is a rehash of the first one, it really does know how to tell the story. The story is well told. It's a well done sequel, and that's about it. It's not a great Pixar movie, but it's a great Pixar sequel that you want to watch. And, well, I don't know, I'll probably watch it again if it's on DVD or on TV. Like, I'm with like one of my baby cousins and they want to watch Finding Dory, I'd definitely watch it with them. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It was pretty good. It's probably I mean, it's funny. I'm going through like my least favorite movies. Like, this is the second one I saw was the best, and the one I'm seeing is probably the best movie I've seen all of this month. So yeah, that's my honest thoughts on Finding Dory.